Richard sat by the window of his small, cozy home in Portland, watching the late afternoon sun cast a golden hue over his quiet neighborhood. At 70 years old, he had lived a full life, a dedicated school teacher for nearly 4 decades, a loving husband and a proud father. But now, retired and living alone since his wife's passing, he found himself battling an unexpected feeling: uncertainty. Despite years of careful saving and planning, he couldn't shake the nagging worry about his financial security. Prices were rising, and his fixed retirement income felt smaller each year. He had always been a practical man, never one for superstition or quick-fix solutions, but he longed for something, anything, that could bring him a sense of stability and peace. One evening, over tea with his longtime friend and former colleague Margaret, the conversation turned to an unusual topic. "You know, Richard, I used to feel the same way," Margaret said, stirring honey into her chamomile tea. "Always checking my bank account, worrying if my savings would last. Then I started making small changes in my home, focusing on energy, balance, and plants." "Plants?" Richard raised an eyebrow. "Yes, but not just any plants," she smiled. "Certain ones are known to bring positive energy, even prosperity. It's part of feng shui and other spiritual traditions, including Buddhism. They say when you cultivate the right plants, you cultivate abundance." Richard chuckled, shaking his head. "And let me guess, your plants brought you a pile of cash. Overnight?" Margaret laughed. "No, nothing like that. But they changed how I felt about money and security. When my space felt harmonious, so did my mind. And somehow, opportunities started flowing. Unexpected discounts, small windfalls, even a consulting offer. I started seeing what I already had, instead of focusing on what I lacked." Richard leaned back in his chair, thoughtful. He had always admired Margaret's calm, steady nature. Perhaps there was something to this. After all, at this stage in life, what did he have to lose? That night, he did something he never thought he would. He opened his laptop and searched. Plants that attract prosperity and positive energy. As he scrolled through various articles, he read stories of people who claimed that bringing certain plants into their home had shifted their energy and even improved their financial outlook. Though skeptical, he couldn't deny the appeal of adding a little greenery to his home. At the very least, it would make the space feel more alive. The next morning, he visited a local nursery. The scent of fresh soil and the sight of vibrant green leaves filled him with an unexpected sense of hope. He spoke with the shopkeeper, an elderly woman with a warm smile, who guided him toward a selection of plants believed to attract prosperity. "These plants have been used for centuries," she explained. "They don't work like magic, but they remind you to nurture positivity and growth in your life. That's where the real transformation happens." Richard nodded, intrigued. He carefully selected a few plants, deciding to give this idea a fair chance. As he carried them home, he felt something stir inside him, a small but genuine sense of optimism. Little did he know, this simple curiosity would lead him on a journey not just to financial peace, but to a deeper sense of well-being and gratitude. The power of aloe vera, cleansing your space and mind. Richard placed his newly purchased aloe vera plant on the windowsill of his living room, where the morning sun would gently warm its thick green leaves. He had read that aloe vera was more than just a healing plant for cuts and burns. It was known to cleanse negative energy and invite prosperity into a home. As he watered the plant, he found a sense of tranquility in the ritual. Each morning, he would touch its cool, fleshy leaves and remind himself that just as the plant needed care and nourishment, so did his mindset. Margaret's words echoed in his mind. "When your space feels harmonious, so does your mind," he began to notice small changes. His home felt lighter, more inviting. The air seemed fresher and even his sleep improved. Perhaps it was psychological, but every time he looked at the aloe vera, he was reminded to breathe deeply and embrace the present moment. One afternoon, while reading about Buddhist teachings, he stumbled upon a passage that resonated with him. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Richard realized that his financial worries often stemmed from fear. Fear of running out. Fear of the unknown. Yet, in that very moment, as he sat in his peaceful home, he had everything he needed. Over time, tending to his aloe vera became a small but significant daily meditation. He would water it with care, sit beside it with a cup of tea, and reflect on his blessings. It wasn't just about attracting wealth anymore. It was about cultivating an abundant mindset. One day, he noticed something unexpected. His usual expenses seemed more manageable. A minor investment he had forgotten about yielded a pleasant return. A neighbor recommended him for a part-time tutoring job, something he had never considered but found himself enjoying. It was as if, by shifting his focus from lack to gratitude, new opportunities had quietly made their way into his life. As the weeks passed, Richard felt a shift, not just in his home, but within himself. He started looking forward to his morning routine with the plant, using it as a moment to set an intention for the day. Instead of waking up with worries about bills, he would greet the aloe vera and remind himself that life had a natural way of providing when one maintained balance and faith. One evening, Margaret visited Richard's home for tea, just as they had done for years. She noticed the aloe vera lush and thriving and smiled. "I see it's working," she said knowingly. Richard chuckled. "Maybe not in the way I expected, but yes, I feel lighter, more in tune with things." Margaret nodded. "That's the real power of these plants. They don't just attract wealth. They help us see what we already have." He smiled as he adjusted the aloe vera pot, feeling a deep sense of contentment. Perhaps prosperity wasn't just about money. It was about nurturing the right energy within and around him. The strength of lucky bamboo, growth and stability. Encouraged by his positive experience with aloe vera, Richard found himself intrigued by the idea of expanding his small indoor garden. During a visit to the local nursery, he noticed a collection of delicate yet striking plants with slender green stalks, elegantly curved and arranged in decorative pots. A small sign read, "Lucky Bamboo, symbol of growth and stability." He recalled reading about lucky bamboo and how it was deeply rooted in feng shui practices. It was said to bring balance, prosperity, and steady growth when placed in the right part of a home. With newfound curiosity, he picked up a modest arrangement of 5 stalks, a number believed to represent the 5 elements of nature and promote harmony. When he brought it home, he placed it near his desk where he often managed his finances. The arrangement felt symbolic. Just as the plant grew steadily toward the light, Richard saw it as a reflection of his own path toward financial and personal stability. It wasn't about sudden wealth, but about cultivating habits and perspectives that would help him thrive over time. Each morning, as he watered the plant and ensured its pebbles stayed moist, he found himself pausing to reflect on his journey. He thought about the patience required to see real growth, not just in plants, but in life. The bamboo's resilience reminded him of an old Buddhist teaching. A tree that is unbending is easily broken. Just like the bamboo, Richard learned to remain flexible and open to life's ever-changing circumstances. A few weeks later, an unexpected opportunity came his way. A former student, now a successful entrepreneur, reached out to ask if Richard would be interested in tutoring his children in literature. It wasn't a large commitment, just a few hours a week, but it gave Richard something he didn't realize he had been missing: a renewed sense of purpose. As the days passed, Richard found himself appreciating the small shifts in his life. He began to see financial stability not as a rigid goal, but as something that ebbed and flowed, much like nature. He started noticing little things: discounts on his favorite groceries, a refund check he had forgotten about, an invitation to a free community event that brought him joy without expense. One evening, Margaret visited him for tea, and her eyes fell upon the lucky bamboo on his desk. She smiled knowingly. "I see you've embraced the philosophy," she said. Richard chuckled. "I suppose I have. It's funny. I didn't expect much from a simple plant. But every time I see it, I'm reminded that growth takes time. And that maybe, just maybe, I'm growing too." Margaret nodded. "That's the beauty of it. Prosperity isn't just about money. It's about stability, about trusting that things will unfold as they should." Richard took a sip of his tea and gazed at the plant, feeling a sense of quiet confidence settle within him. Perhaps true wealth wasn't measured in bank accounts alone, but in the peace of mind that came with knowing he was on the right path. The abundance of the money tree, a symbol of prosperity, Richard's small indoor garden was beginning to flourish. His aloe vera thrived on the windowsill, and his lucky bamboo stood tall on his desk, reminding him of resilience and steady growth. As he continued his journey of exploring plants that symbolized prosperity, he came across another well-known plant, the money tree. One afternoon, while browsing the nursery, he noticed a display of braided money trees, their lush green leaves reaching upward as if grasping for success. The nursery owner, an elderly woman with a warm smile, approached him. "You have a good eye," she said. "The money tree is a powerful plant. It's known to attract abundance and fortune." Richard, now more open to the symbolism behind these plants, nodded with curiosity. "What makes it so special?" She gently touched the braided trunk. "This represents interconnected growth. Each strand weaves together, much like the elements of prosperity. Hard work, patience, trust, and a little luck. Keep it in a bright space and care for it well, and it will bring you stability." Inspired, Richard chose a small but sturdy money tree and brought it home. He placed it near the entrance of his living room, believing that its presence might encourage a positive flow of energy into his home. Each day, he made sure to water the tree, wiping its broad, vibrant leaves and adjusting its position to receive just the right amount of light. He noticed a sense of calm wash over him as he tended to it, much like his growing morning rituals with his other plants. It reminded him that prosperity wasn't just about sudden financial gain. It was about cultivating the right mindset and habits that allowed abundance to naturally flow into one's life. Weeks passed, and small, unexpected blessings began appearing. A forgotten insurance claim was approved, adding a bit of extra money to his account. A longtime friend invited him to join a small investment group, offering him a chance to learn more about financial opportunities he had never considered before. More importantly, Richard began feeling a deeper sense of confidence and security, regardless of the balance in his bank account. One evening, as he sipped tea and admired his growing collection of prosperity plants, he thought about how each one had taught him something valuable. The aloe vera had shown him the importance of cleansing both his space and mind. The lucky bamboo had reminded him that growth was a process requiring patience, and now the money tree was teaching him that prosperity was about nurturing opportunities and trusting that abundance would come in its own time. Margaret visited him the next day and immediately noticed the new addition to his home. "Ah, the money tree," she said with approval. "You've really embraced this journey." Richard chuckled. "I have. But you know what? It's not just about the plants. It's about the lessons they bring." Margaret nodded. "Exactly. Prosperity isn't about chasing wealth. It's about creating an environment where abundance can naturally grow." As Richard looked at the money tree, he realized something profound. True wealth wasn't just financial. It was peace of mind, the joy of learning new things, and the connections he had with the people around him. The elegance of the orchid, patience and reward, Richard's journey with prosperity plants had been both enlightening and fulfilling. The aloe vera reminded him to cleanse his mind, the lucky bamboo taught him patience, and the money tree reinforced the importance of nurturing opportunities. As he explored more, he found himself drawn to the delicate beauty of orchids. One afternoon, as he walked through the nursery, his eyes fell upon a row of orchids in full bloom. Their graceful petals, ranging from deep purples to soft pinks, exuded a quiet sophistication. A sign nearby read, "Orchids, a symbol of patience and reward." Margaret, who had joined him on this visit, noticed his interest. "Orchids are special," she said. "They take time to bloom, but when they do, it's breathtaking. They teach us the value of patience and the joy of delayed rewards." Richard thought about that. In his younger years, he had always been impatient, wanting quick solutions to problems. Now, in retirement, he was learning to appreciate the slow unfolding of life's gifts. Inspired, he selected a vibrant orchid and took it home. Unlike his other plants, the orchid required more care. It needed just the right amount of water, indirect sunlight, and a specific level of humidity. At first, he was intimidated. The leaves remained green, but the flowers took time to show any signs of bloom. He worried he was doing something wrong. One day, after weeks of tending to the plant, he noticed something, a tiny bud forming at the stem's end. Excitement bubbled within him. Day by day, the bud grew, until finally, one morning, he woke up to find a stunning purple orchid in full bloom. It was a moment of quiet triumph, a testament to his patience and consistent care. As he admired the flower, he reflected on how its growth mirrored his own journey. In life, success and fulfillment weren't immediate. They required steady effort, trust, and patience. He thought of the many years he had spent teaching students, knowing that his guidance wouldn't always yield instant results, but eventually they flourished in their own ways, just like the orchid. Richard found himself applying this newfound understanding to his financial mindset as well. He no longer expected quick fixes or instant wealth, but focused on making thoughtful, sustainable choices. His investments were steady, his expenses mindful, and his outlook optimistic. Margaret visited one evening and saw the orchid in full bloom. She smiled knowingly. "See, good things take time, but they're worth the wait." Richard nodded. "I think I finally understand. It's not just about the reward, it's about the journey of getting there." As he continued to care for the orchid, he felt a deep sense of contentment. The plant stood as a daily reminder that true prosperity, whether in wealth, relationships, or personal growth, came to those who nurtured it with patience and care.